Welcome back and on with episode 27. So I'm actually going to do a U-turn from what I said last week. I am going to try and get that engine cross member out. It doesn't seem right just to do all the work on this engine and make it as good as I can, and then to put it down on top of this lump of metal that could be rotten. Who knows what's underneath it. So this week we're going to try and get that out. I don't know how far we'll get in with it, but we'll give it a good go. And then my 928 doesn't have a bonnet badge, so there's 100 things I'm looking at constantly, the bonnet badge being one of them. But I picked one up on eBay the other day for £33, which I think is a complete steal. Fantastic, beautiful looking thing. I'll give you a zoom over it, you can see what it's like. It's really, really impressed with that. And finally, if you've not watched any of my previous videos, go back please and have a look through them. And if you enjoyed them, why not subscribe? Well, comically, after saying that, that's the one on my 911. And that's the one I just bought, so it's identical. It's slightly older, so at least it does look a little bit more classic, a bit more authentic. The lettering at the top's not black. If you look on my one, it's blacked out a bit more. But still, it's really nice, and for £30, I can't really go wrong. Well, we're back under the car. Something didn't sit right with me just saying we're going to leave that cross member. So I've jacked it up and put it on axle stands off the actual jacking points rather than the bottom of the suspension arms. I'm just going to look and see how hard it is to get that subframe off. It feels like while we're there we might as well have a look. I can have a quick look at the suspension as well. I know the front suspension's in a bit of a mess. I'm not proposing to do it now, but at least I can start looking at it. I can also look at the steering rack while I'm in there. So let's do the little bit more investigation, see how easily that cross member is going to come out. I think it's just a matter, if I just pan you round, I think basically just taking one end, I think there's about 4 bolts on this end that need to come out. I really don't think there's a lot more left to do. Because mine is a right-hand drive, it means that it has the power steering pump pipes go across the cross member. You can just see them go across there and then they come up that side. They're bolted onto the cross member roughly sort of centre of the screen now, I suppose. I've checked that that's undone, that bolt. So there's a little bit more complication, but it should be okay. Let's start by getting the bottom of that cross member off and we can see how we drop out the steering rack. Right, that wasn't too bad. That's the, well, they call it a stabiliser in the parts diagram. I call it a anti-roll bar with one of the drop links still attached. Again, they call that a stabiliser link, I think, that piece there. I've got one of them attached because I couldn't get the bolts undone, so I thought I'd get it out on the bench and I can sort of heat it up. It's too close to the tyres and everything under there to actually get any heat on it. That's great though, I can tidy that up. The mountings are pretty corroded as well. We can put new bushes in and things like that for that, so that's really cool. That gets us one step closer to getting that subframe off the cross member. I don't know if you can see under there. The next bit will be to take the bottom of the cross member out and then drop the steering rack. I think this is the danger of when you start a job and start looking around. So now I'm wondering, if I'm taking the engine cross member out, why don't I just take all this out as well? Because all the suspension needs to come off at some point. And it's pretty tatty. And reading online, a few people say it's just easy to do with the engine out. So it seems stupid for me not to at least have a go. Everything looks pretty straightforward in there to dismantle. Obviously putting back together is going to be trickier. If I just move my light around a bit, because it's pretty dark in there. You know, and look at the, I don't know if you can see that from there, but the stone guard on the disc is completely dead. It is pretty tatty, let's be honest. So I think it'd be worth at least taking it apart. I think that shock has pretty much had it as well. You can see there's proper rust on it, center of the camera. So let's start doing that. I think I'll carry on first with the cross member, the engine cross member, get that out first, and then we can start. By doing that, I think most of this all is undone anyway, so we can go from there then. So there's nothing actually holding the steering rack in place. As it comes down here, then you've got the actual sort of steering rack underneath here. there's the power steering lines come along. They come along the side of the cross member, around, then up the side of the body here. They secure there, and then turn into these sort of rubber hoses, which go to the power steering pump and the reservoir. So what I'm going to do is just undo the nut here, bolt there. Sorry. That will free up the hard lines that come along the side of the cross member. I'm hoping then the whole steering assembly can sort of drop away, and I can have this cross member out then. I think that's what will happen. We're on the last bolt for the protective covering. It covers the steering rack. Hopefully we'll be able to see what I'm doing. It's a bit restrictive under here, but the plate is here. In fact, what I'll do is put one more bolt in. That'll stop it dropping on me, and then we can just take it out afterwards a bit easier. So let's quickly just spin this last bolt out. See if that's finger tight. Okay. So that's the steering rack guard off. You can now see what's up under there. Let's have a quick look. What I need to undo to drop the steering rack. Very oily, but doesn't look in bad condition. It just looks very oily. I guess the engine had some oil leaks somewhere along the line. It's just been dripping constantly. So, just trying to work out what holds the steering rack in place. I don't think there's anything holding it there now. Let's give you a bit of a zoom. That's what it looks like with the steering sort of rack just dropped a little bit, and I'm just undoing the last few bolts on this cross member. You can see one screws into the subframe there, and then there's two on this suspension leg, and I think that will be the cross member free, same both sides. I'm going to maneuver this down a little bit further, and I think I'll be able to just wiggle this out, I think. So I think we're mostly done on the cross member. So I've taken out the two bolts here, two bolts here, then there's 2 or 3 bolts actually holding the cross member in place underneath here, and the same on the other side. I've put them, you can't really see the diagram, but it's a labelled diagram, so I know where they came out. They need tidying up properly. I don't know if you can see the amount of copper grease on that bolt. Someone was obsessed with that getting stuck. But the good sign is that it means it's been out of the car semi-recently, so I'm hoping all the bolts will come out without snapping. This is one of those really slow jobs. What I'm doing now is the tow hook, which is here. I'm just taking out that bolt. It has 2 bolts holding it on here, 2 that go to this front of the suspension. Taking out this one allows this whole assembly sort of drop down. If I show the other side, you can see I've dropped that one down and sort of pulled it down away from this here. This then allows this to drop down a little bit, and I can get the engine cross member out. Okay, some good progress. That's the steering rack dropped down now from the cross member. It's just kind of hanging there. It seems quite stable, but and I've made sure it's not pulling on any of the metal pipes, so it seems okay. But that does free up the cross member, which is really good. And I'm glad I sort of did this now. I'm hoping you can see, but it's pretty rusty up underneath. It needs that tidy up I was going to give it, so that's really good. And most of the sort of front suspension, these sort of aluminium bits right in front of the camera there, that can all come out and get cleaned up as well. I think you can see up under there now. It's pretty rusty, so it's a good job I'm doing it. I'm just sort of going around now, itemising what I need to buy. Sides free. There we go. I love these moments when you actually get it out. This put up quite a big fight, and I'm really pleased I did. I'll give you a proper zoom over it, but one side, I can't put it down. This side is especially rusty. Needs a lot of treating, so we'll get on that. I'm going to probably pressure jet wash it, try and get all this sort of 41-year-old oil off and things. And then that needs a proper coating with hammerite or something along those lines to really seal it up. That was a really useful few days. I think it took me probably 3 or 4 days in between all the little bits I do to get that cross member out. The cumulative time is probably just a couple of hours or something. And bear in mind, I'm sort of winging it all the way. I don't really know what I'm up to. It does allow me now to get at the steering rack properly, those suspension arms, the lower and upper control arms, those tow hooks are rusty, they all need sorting out. I think, sort of counter to what I've been saying all the way along, I think what I'm going to do is actually do the front suspension while I'm here. It looks like I need new shocks, new discs, a few new bushes here and there. One side of the a stone guard on the driver's side, UK car, is completely disintegrated, so I need to renew that. But a pretty useful week, I'm pleased with that. The anti-roll bar needs redoing as well, so while I'm cleaning up this cross member, I'll clean up the anti-roll bar at the same time and then paint them both at the same time. So yeah, great week, really pleased with that. I'm going to end the video here. The next video may take a while because I go away on holiday for a week or so. So I can't say when I'll be back. I might be able to squeeze one more video out before I go. But as ever, thanks for watching, and I'll see you whenever the next time is.